My name is Margaret Pinard, and I am a historical fiction author. Thank you to Shannon S.T. Houston for calling this whole conference into existence. And thank you to all who made donations for the giveaway bundles and to our headline sponsor, Fictionary. Welcome to my channel. You're on BookTube. I've been self-publishing for 10 years and on BookTube, Authortube for 3 years. And it has definitely been a learn by doing approach. I've published 6 books in that time, adapting slightly each time to the publishing climate of 2013, 2014, 2015, 2017, 2019, and 2022. So that's what brings me here to try to help you, the writer, on a similar journey. That's right, journey. One of the things I would have liked help with most in the past 10 years is making all the decisions along the way. So what I wanted to share with all you writer hopefuls is a rough roadmap of all the main decision points a writer usually faces on the path to publication. And since I'm an indie author, I'm calling it the Choose Your Own Adventurous Publishing Path. We'll try it like those fun kids' books to keep some of the decision-making terror at bay. You ready? Some caveats to make sure we're on the same page vis-a-vis expectations. Everyone's publishing path will vary according to priorities and experiences. Even the order of these decision points is flexible. Any and all orders and combinations are valid and can produce success. I had to squeeze them into some semblance of order in order to make this like the book. So take it on faith and with a handful of salt. Okay, now we're ready. Page 1. You've taken your first step as an aspiring author. You've started a YouTube channel. Welcome to the community. So, is your book already drafted? Or is it still a twinkle in your eye? If it is an idea and you need to get that draft going post-haste, turn to the Moon Petrie page to see if NaNoWriMo might help. Moon Petrie is a fantastic community-minded author of middle grade and YA fiction, especially of the supernatural variety. She's got a whole special made playlist for you to tackle nano if you need it, how to gear up, how to deal with failure, and more great tips. Check it out. If you already have a full draft, turn to page 2. Page 2. Every good book gets better with editing, but there are innumerable choices in how to edit and whom to ask. Let's drill down. Are you worried about readability because of your grasp of spelling and grammar? That's copy editing. Are you seized with the fear of plot holes and continuity errors haunting your story? That's developmental editing. Have you already solicited feedback and are very happy with how the story looks, feels, and reads, but want to make sure there are 0 typos? Time to find your proofreader. These are all separate jobs. Are you pretty confident in the manuscript's bones and want to see if others reading it feel the same? Time for beta readers. And for beta readers, if that's what you're after, turn to page CM Lockhart to find out whom you should ask and what you should expect.
Hey you guys, I'm CM Lockhart, also known as Chelsea, and I'm the owner of Written in Melanin LLC, a brand created for supporting Black authors. And I'm here to talk to you guys a little bit about beta reading. A beta reader is someone that you reach out to read your story and give you feedback to help you improve your story, usually before you reach out to editors or any type of paid service or anything like that. These are the people who get into your story and look at it as a reader, and they give you feedback on your plot, your characters, your pacing, everything that you would think an editor might give you. But the difference between a beta reader and an editor is that a beta reader just tells you what the problem is, whereas an editor, more likely than not, is going to offer you a solution. So a beta reader is usually your first line of defense when you're talking about finishing and perfecting your book and getting it ready for the next steps in publishing. 9 times out of 10, your beta readers are going to be the other people in your community that you can reach out to. So other authors or other influencers or author tubers, and you just tap tap them on the shoulder and be like, hey, do you think you have the bandwidth to beta read for me? Sometimes they say yes, sometimes they say no. But usually that's where you start when you're reaching out to people. You can also find them online. A lot of people put out public call outs on Twitter, on TikTok, on social media in general, and be like, hey, I'm looking for beta readers. Is anyone interested in signing up? Generally speaking, you want somewhere between 3 and 5 beta readers. No less than 3, because you definitely want a wide range so you can focus on the things and you're not just getting one person's opinion. But you really don't want more than 5 or 6 people reading your work, because after that it can get a little bit daunting to hear everyone's feedback. Which brings us to our last point, which is how to make the most of their feedback. And honestly, that is completely up to you. As the author, you have to decide what feedback is useful and what feedback is just someone's personal opinion. And that can be a little difficult and a little daunting, but the general go-to advice that I like to give people is, if you read someone's feedback and you're immediately like, no, I'm not going to do that, then that's generally something that you probably should skip over. But if it's something that makes you think, and it's not just your ego that's responding that way, and your mind is like, but that's actually a really good point, then it's probably something that you want to evaluate and see if it's something that you want to incorporate into the story or fix or change or modify to make the story better. So yeah, that's it. If you think you're ready to start looking for beta readers, then for sure, check out my podcast, the Written in Melanin podcast, where I talk about this and all things related to being an indie author. But if you're not, then for sure, head back to Margaret's channel and check out the rest of what she... Right?
Chelsea is an amazing, hardworking business owner, community resource host in the form of the Melanin Library, Black epic fantasy creator of 3 novels and counting about Black girls who aren't all that nice, and a wonderful companion to do productivity sprints with. If you've gone through the beta reading phase and are ready for what's next, turn to page 3. Page 3. You want to get your amazing, wonderful, edited manuscript out to the world, and you want to make it easy for people to find, right? Here's where interior formatting comes in. You need to make the actual words look right on the page. Whether that's ebook or print, you'll find readers can get awfully picky when it comes to Comic Sans or papyrus, gutters too close to the spine, or a lack of page numbers. If you have the money to pay someone to format your book, do that. If you don't, or are too much of a control freak to let the book baby out of your hands, you'll have to learn how to do it yourself. Turn to page Mandy Lynn to hear the easy pitfalls of doing your own formatting, as well as more top tips.
Hello everyone, my name is Mandy Lynn. I'm an author, book cover designer, and the creator of the Book Launch Planner series, and I make weekly videos on the business of being an author. Today I'm here to give you guys some quick tips on book formatting. When it comes to book formatting, usually the simpler the formatting, the better. It's very tempting, especially when you do your own formatting, and especially if it's a fantasy book, to maybe go with a very fancy font or something that's super fun and cool. And while that is fun and cool, and it does have a place in book formatting, usually simpler is better. You also want to make sure that you're consistent throughout the book. And this means using the same font, the same spacing, the same font size. All of that needs to be absolutely consistent throughout the entire book. When in doubt, just go to your nearest book on your bookshelf and start flipping through the pages to get an idea for what formatting should look like. At the end of the day, you'll realize that formatting should be so clean that you don't really notice it in the first place. You want readers to pick up your book and read it and just enjoy the story rather than pay attention to the formatting. I format all my books in Adobe InDesign, and I actually have a course on how to format your books using Adobe InDesign. So if you want to learn how to do that, you can go to this website right here and you'll be able to learn how to format your book. Be sure to head back to Margaret's presentation and choose your own adventure.
Mandy Lynn is a super generous author and graphic designer with her own book formatting course and a wonderful resource in the Book Launch Planner. Once you've logged in your 10,000 hours to make sure you can format a book properly, or you've thrown in the towel to call in the experts, whichever comes first, your product is finally ready to actually publish. Congrats! Bask in that for a moment because there are a whole lot more decision points coming on page 4. Yeah, I like these adventures. They're taking me some pretty cool places. Look at this cenote. It's really pretty here. Although I'm not sure how I'll get out again. Okay, page 4. You've decided to self-publish your fiction masterpiece. Your manuscript is edited, and crucially, your formatting has yielded the exact number of pages and trim size your book will have. What's next? Well, every book needs a cover. If you want to see how to make a cover, check out these videos by fellow Authortubers like Deborah Lau, A.F. Stewart, S.T. Houston, Natalia Lee, and the very same talented Mandy Lynn you just heard from. Check it out. This can take a long time to learn how to do or to find an adequate pre-made cover. So while you start this task, we'll turn to the next page. You can do 2 things at once, right? See, now we're in a tundra landscape. Isn't it exciting? Page 5. It's now a little colder in this adventurous place, and oh, there's a friend joining us in this tundra landscape. Okay, well, let's get to the next step then, shall we? Page 5, it's now time to gather your essential marketing copy, e.g. the words that persuade people to buy your book. You'll want to have it ready for that cover designer when they're going to finalize your design. The essentials to have ready include a long bio, 300 to 500 words, and a short bio, about 50 words, a long synopsis, under 4,000 words, and a short synopsis, under 250 words, and back cover copy, about 250 words. I keep versions of all these for various sites and submissions in a Google Doc I can access and refer back to over the series or just book that I'm planning. If you've got your jacket copy ready, well done. Technical nuts and bolts, page 6. And isn't this a nice little swampy area? I've been on canoes. This is great. Although it looks like there might be a gator over there. That's just a log, I'm sure. Okay. The other fancy bits that go on that cover include an ISBN, and this also has to go on the copyright page in your book, so you'll see where some of this order is flexible. ISBNs in the US are sold through one company, Bowker, which got in early and staked out a monopoly. Canada authors get them free from the government, and other country arrangements vary. The other possibility is using the number of the publishing platform you choose. They issue those in-house, such as KDP, which is Amazon's publishing platform, or Ingram Spark. Things to consider when you decide which to use: how many formats you'll publish in, as each one will need its own ISBN, and your budget. Purchasing ISBNs in bundles can make it cheaper by the dozen. My decision is swayed by 2 important facts. While KDP does not require real ISBNs and can skate by with its own ASINs, many online retailers and libraries do require them, even for ebooks. For example, iBooks from Apple or Kobo. I found this comprehensive guide to ISBNs very helpful. It's from 2020. Check it out when you make this decision. Side note on barcodes, the best resource I've ever found for barcodes is Derek Murphy from Creative Indie, who, while a prolific cover designer, author, and speaker, also provides a free barcode generator on his website here, because it's painful enough to pay Bowker's monopoly prices without falling for their completely unnecessary upsell of a barcode. Kind of hot around here now. I hope I don't get heat stroke here. We're on to page 7. You're now at the point of no return. Whether you've paid for any of the foregoing services or learned it all yourself, you're finally ready to release your lab-grown beast into the wild. Here's my biggest advice when uploading to your chosen distributor. Budget lots of time, whether it's KDP, Ingram Spark, Draft to Digital, iBooks, Kobo, Nook, or all of them individually. I'm looking at you, Jay Taylor. There will always be hiccups. There are also as many combinations of platforms as there are constellations. So read up on each of these, figure out where you think your readers will look for, and buy your book, and start small. That comprehensive guide to ISBN's site has some good advice about the right order of uploading to KDP and Ingram Spark too, if you combine those. So make sure you get confirmation of advice before committing your $125 for the ISBN. Oh man, the mosquitoes here are killing me. Page 8. But wait, you've heard about this new fad called pre-orders. What's that? It's been around forever, but it's only become generally known since indie publishing became mainstream. Indie authors started making bestseller lists, of which pre-orders are a key strategy, and platforms started catering to authors, making a lot of sales. Here to give you a few tips about pre-order tactics is author biz publishing and marketing guru, MK Williams.
Hi, Margaret. Thank you so much for asking me to give my pre-order tips on your video. So I would say the number one thing that I see authors mess up with their pre-order is that when you're self-publishing, your links are going to be available at different times. Your ebook is likely going to show up before the print book can show up because you're syncing it from somewhere else. The audiobook isn't even going to get approved for maybe a couple days, maybe a month. And what I see authors do is they get excited, they've planned their whole pre-order, the ebook links are live, and they blast the ebook links everywhere. And then a couple of days later, the print book shows up, and finally it's all unified maybe a week later, but they've already told everybody to go pre-order the ebook. So what happens is people who are like, well, I wanted to get the print book, I wanted to get the hardcover you were talking about. They're like, oh, I don't see the link. They're not going to remember to go back. They're going to say, oh, I didn't even see it. And that's going to be the story they tell themselves about your book forever and ever until they see you 10 years from now in person, like, oh yeah, you didn't have a hardcover. And you're like, yeah, I did. It took like just a week for the link to show up. Do not send out your pre-order links until all the formats available on pre-order are showing up and easy to toggle between on Amazon or Barnes & Noble or wherever it is. Now, if you're only doing an ebook pre-order, that's fine. But if you're planning to do a print and digital pre-order, wait until all the links are live. It's the number one thing I see authors get wrong with their pre-order. They send it out too early. They're too excited. Like, wait, nobody knows. Nobody knows that it's there until you tell them. Nobody knows. So that extra bit of patience, it's so exciting, but you've worked so hard on this. Don't blow the pre-order announcement. Thanks so much for letting me come and share some tips, Margaret. I love this opportunity to be on your channel. If anybody has more questions or thoughts about pre-orders or anything else that they would like to do when it comes to self-publishing, I have this big Mac Daddy checklist, ginormous phone book of a checklist called Author Your Ambition. This is the complete self-publishing workbook for first-time authors. And even if you have self-published before and it was really overwhelming, this can give you a lot of clarity of steps to take, what order to take those steps in, and nice little checklists and calendars for you to use, okay?
MK Williams has a fantabulous YouTube channel all about answering authors' anxious questions with humor and understanding, which she does for free. So I would highly suggest checking out her Author Your Ambition series, which is like this presentation on steroids. Oh dear Lord, where am I now? Where have my adventurous journeys taken me? Apocalyptic urban jungle. This doesn't look too safe. I think there might be vampires here. Okay, let's hurry up with our page 9. While you have those oodles of time during your pre-order campaign, you've got more marketing copy to draft. And here's where you can pick and choose to play to your strengths. First in essentials is probably a newsletter list announcement. You have a mailing list, right? and a website landing page, if not a secure direct sales shopping processor like PayHip or Shopify. You have a website, right? And of course, you've got a social media presence on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Tumblr, TikTok, Discord. No? Oh dear. Then maybe the most important thing to do is turn to the final page for this presentation. Page 10. Schedules self-care and celebrate your accomplishment. If this particular path doesn't make you a best-selling author, welcome to the land of endless permutations. None of them are wrong. Treat everything as an experiment. Keep your optimism. You will need it on your next publishing adventure. And now that I'm back in the land of books, let's take some questions about publishing. I'm here and I'm in yet another outfit. Welcome, everybody. Thank you for listening to the pre-recorded segment of today's presentation. I am going to be welcoming SD Houston on in just a moment, but I want to set the tone for the question and answer period of all you lovely people in the chat right now. I especially wanted to do this presentation about decision making because that is what terrified me the most and gave me the most heartburn and heartache throughout my 10 years of publishing. So especially if you have like, how do I make myself get up off the floor type questions, I welcome those because often it's the energy and the heart that you sort of fall down on and need some help getting back up with to continue this journey and choose another adventure. So yes, I welcome all the questions. Put them in the chat. I've starred some as we went through, and we'll get to as many as we can. So without further ado, I will welcome on SD Houston. Shannon, hello.
The real question is was it sexy vampires or werewolves?
Yes. So the last little backdrop I gave myself was the apocalyptic urban jungle, and I don't think they were sexy vampires.
No.
I recently saw an episode of a Purge movie, and it was like people cut outside when there was going to be like a mass murder event, and I was like, this is not fun. Why is this a TV series? So yeah, not my idea of fun at all. And we want to make the author life fun, if nothing else. So but yeah, welcome everybody. I will go backwards so that we understand what we're dealing with here. Anita with the sexy vampires, and then we had people worried for my well-being. Thank you, Shannon and Ari, and RC pointed out it was a Cormac McCarthy novel, obviously. The barcodes question. So I had Tora, I think, in Courtney Project's presentation last session mentioned barcodes, and I was like, yes, I addressed this exactly. Because barcodes do not need to be paid for in any way, shape, or form. Please throw that out. Mm-hmm. They're automatically generated, and it's just someone trying to make a buck off of you. So use your platform or use Derek Murphy's website. There's plenty of ways to get that on your graphic image or on your digital product if you want without paying for it. Shannon's saying Kindlepreneur also provides free barcodes. So yeah, plenty of ways. Anita pointing out Drafted Digital does them as well. So yes.
Well, barcodes are not the same as ISBNs though, just a note. Yeah.
Sorry, yes, I'm going backwards in time. So before that was the ISBNs, and I didn't point out that Drafted Digital also provides ISBNs.
Gotcha.
Mama Maggie pointed out this lovely tie-in. Mm-hmm. I look cold. Buy me a Ko-fi. Yeah, Ko-fi. Link there. Let's see. We're talking about fonts. Yeah, Chiller. I know what that font looks like, and that's a terrible choice. But, maybe we have fans of Papyrus or Comic Sans in the room. So, you know, everyone has a different viewpoint. Shannon also pointed out that Chelsea will be on Self-Publishing Tips and Tricks, the podcast, which is so much fun. It's going to be
Yeah,
good.
she's got her next book coming out, and I think the podcast releases right around the time her book is going to come out.
Nice. And that's the third one, right?
The third one, yeah.
Yay. Very cool. And I dropped some links and all that good stuff. Okay, so let me go back to the live chat. Thank you. Oh my gosh, it's a blast from the past. Hey, Sandy. Oh, a good meaty question from author Lauren Adele. How to find the right audience for your book. Okay, so let me think about this for a second. I like time to digest to give a good answer. So, did you have an audience in mind when you wrote the book? That would be my first question.
Second book, sorry.
What's that?
I had to look it up. When you said third book, I was like, yeah, third book. I was like, wait, I don't think that's right. It's her second book.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, in the one
In
series.
the trilogy.
Yeah.
Okay,
Sorry.
in the series,
Just
yeah.
to make sure we had the right information out there. We weren't telling people the wrong thing.
Okay.
The way that I first tried was going on Facebook groups. So I know Facebook is not so great anymore, but I would just go and look at Facebook groups in my genre to see if I could find readers, not authors, right?
Right. So for me, when I was looking for the audience for my books, I started out with historical mystery and then historical fiction and then some time travel thrown in. So I looked at titles that I thought would be comparative titles and tried to find what they were doing. So like, for example, Diana Gabaldon, right in my bailiwick, right? So like, where did she go? She started 20 years earlier than I did, but like, where do her people go? They go to cons. So I did direct sales at tables. They go to Ren fairs, which I haven't done yet, but I've seen authors sell books at Ren fairs, and that's like on my list. So watching what other people do who are higher profile could help. Also networking with other authors, because if you get more than one person doing the same thing, chances are you're going to attract the people who like that thing, because you're all going to be reaching out to your small audiences. So that's my take. Deb Osorio, hello and welcome.
I would also look on Goodreads too. You can find people on there who are readers who are, because they have forums. You can find forums with readers who are looking for authors' books.
You mean to review, or?
Yeah, you can offer it for a review for, like, if you're looking for ARC readers, or I found a reader who was who became a beta reader for me.
Nice.
Yeah.
When I was looking on Goodreads before there was a Storygraph, the hot topic or the hot tip was to get your book on lists, and you can't list it yourself. So you had to have someone else say, oh, this book, The Keening, for example, belongs on top 10 19th century Victorian UK fiction books, right? And then people will go, oh, that sounds like a good one. I'll put it on my shelf to read later, and then maybe pick it up, right? So your funnel becomes longer and longer and longer. I don't think I ever got anywhere with that. I tried to, ask people in my newsletter to do lists, but it's too much training for me in terms of steps. So that tip didn't ever work for me. And I didn't ever get into forums. So yeah. But for someone who has more of like a Reddit focus, where you have forums and you're chatting with people and it's very of the moment, then that might work really well. So Deb's question, when you're starting out, when do you start the website, the mailing list, the newsletter, when you don't have a published date? Okay. Shannon, do you have a take on this?
Yeah. So I knew that I was going to publish my first book in November of 2021. I knew this about January of that year. So I started doing all my research, everything I needed to do. July 1st is like, or June 1st, sorry. June 1st was like what I felt was the beginning of my author career. I started my YouTube channel. I started my newsletter. I had put all the steps in place so I could just go on that day. And for the first 3 months, and I had my website too. I didn't have anybody but myself and my husband and like a couple friends on my mailing list. And then I heard about Story Origin and then Voracious Readers Only. And so I had some buildup of my newsletter before my book actually started selling and went live in November. So I started, they say, 6 months to a good year out, but I was less than that. So I don't know. Some genres might be different too, like romance. I think like romance readers, like you could start up, and if you've got a reader magnet or something to give away, it would be really easy to get people hooked on that and then be waiting for your book.
Right. That's a good point about genres. I think the general advice is the mailing list. You want to start early. The website can be super basic. You want to start early so that there's a place that you own on the internet with your name on it, so that when people search, they don't come up with 1936 headstone in Carlton, Pennsylvania. And you're like, that has nothing to do with me and my author brand. Like, I wish I had something that had my name on it.
I would look at other people too, like Elaine, who's one of our moderators. She hasn't yet published her book yet, but she's had her Instagram going for a good 6, 7, 8 months, or at least that's how long I've been aware of it for Instagram. And she's always publishing little snippets of her writing on her Instagram. She just started her YouTube channel in January, and she hasn't published her book yet, but she puts like stuff out there all the time, and she's building up her presence with audiences. So I think you could start at any time.
Yeah, I think the preference is for before you publish.
Yeah.
But the other stuff, the social media accounts, the regular posting, like you can get into the habit of all the things beforehand and just like collect until you're ready to start trying things, whether that is before or like in a specific run up to your publication, whichever works for you. Thank you.
I love that.
Barrett is here. Hello, hello. Let's see. Isbins already says I'm gonna publish my book in Helvetica.
I was like, congratulations. Oh, in Helvetica? No, I don't know what that looks like actually.
It's pretty plain. It's a non-serif and it's a pretty standard font.
Okay.
I think that would work well for poetry.
Yeah.
Sarcasm or not? I can't tell. People's interests and
I know.
preferences are so different. Yes, let's see. Maggie's got question. Are fancy fonts only for chapter titles in some genres, or are there genre-specific fonts expected? I would say no on genre-specific fonts because
or chapter titles. Yeah. Because for book titles, there are some specific ones you see a lot. Like in fantasy, there's like a lot that are very specific.
For chapter titles?
But not for chapter titles, yeah.
Okay.
So that one I don't know anything about chapter titles being specific.
Yeah, it's fun and cool, as Mandy says. I think the goal is exactly like she said, to make it disappear. So you want it the clearest, like easiest to read. My parents are always complaining about not being able to read books because it's too small or it's too light, or it wasn't printed in good quality. So yeah, R.C. Scott's got like a good recommendation. Times New Roman, number 12. Richard Holiday. I'm a Calibri man. I like Calibri as well. Yeah. So whatever makes everything else fall away and the words just sort of flow over you. That is the goal.
Arial and Times New Roman are like preferred in the academia. Like when you're submitting to journals in academia, they prefer those because those are easiest to read.
There you go. Some people like chapter titles and some people don't, period, whatever font they're in. So that might be a genre expectation. I just did numbers for mine because I don't like chapter titles. I ignore them and skip over them as quickly as possible. I'm sorry to anyone who takes time and labor to make them like very specific, but like I'm trying to get to the text and the story. So yeah, that'll depend on you.
What I would say is that I'm the same way. I don't like worrying about chapter titles, but because I am doing dual point of view with romance, and you see this in a lot of romance books, they put the name of the person as the title, whoever's the chapter POV.
Right.
So I've seen that, and that's what I've done. Yeah, I'm the same as you. I kind of skip through it and go to the next one.
Right. And I do put dates. When I was changing dates, I put that in as well to sort of establish. But yeah, that can be helpful. Yes, Joe writes, hello. Facebook might surprise you these days. They are doing some great things with reels. Interesting. Okay. I've sort of come back to Facebook in the past few weeks, not out of any enthusiasm, but just because it does seem to be still getting traction. I think that is a question of audience, because there's a few like die-hard Facebook or die or whatever you want to say audience, and like you're not going to reach them anywhere else, so you might as well export with whatever Courtney was using, Smarter Q, and like just copy everything over to cover your bases. So yeah. I don't think this is a serious question because I don't think they can do research.
Well,
but
I have seen some with ChatGPT 4, right? Because if you're using the unpaid version, you're not going to get access to newer information. But I have seen people put in there what kind of audiences would overlap between this author, this author, and this author. And because they think that their book falls under like it's a mashup of like these different books, and so that they put that in there and ask ChatGPT to see what type of audience would be looking for that. Like, and they pull keywords out of that to know what to use as their keywords.
Okay, so like maybe yes, yeah. Christine Alaska's got a good sort of answer in the form of a question for the audience question. Who is your ideal reader and where do they hang out? That's where you go. That's good. Also, Christina, a fan of Ren Fair costume. Love to hear it. Mama Maggie says Discord has beta reader finder servers.
I didn't know that.
I'm not familiar with how to search for different servers in Discord because I only talk with people I already know from other places. I don't know how to find people there.
Do you have information?
Word search, but
maybe Mama Maggie knows how to do it.
Yeah,
because I don't know how to do that either.
Yeah, Maggie, I don't know. That might be too long for a comment, a 200 character comment, but Christina's saying I need a primer on Goodreads. I don't know. Can we poll the audience? Readers, authors, how do you use Goodreads? I don't use it anymore. It was my tracking for my book reading for a long time, so it's got sort of an archive. I don't use it for author stuff anymore, and I don't hear much about authors using it anymore.
I only use it at the beginning to find my audience, but once I found my audience, I haven't been back on there. So.
Yeah, so we'll see if anyone weighs in on that. Yes, Richard says unpublished authors can start a newsletter. He's speaking from experience.
Wasn't someone asking in a previous presentation? Was it in Courtney's? So what would you give newsletters your subscribers if you didn't have a story? Yeah, it was in her presentation. They asked that in the chat
early on,
and she said maps and character art, or I don't remember everything she said, but there was a few different things that she offered.
Yeah. That was like one of the first questions, I think.
Yeah.
Richard saying a newsletter is not just for when you have something to sell, it's about you, the author, as the brand. Right.
Although I would say that a lot of audiences, at least that my audience, people I've talked to, your audience is made of readers. So it's about you as a brand, but if you also offer other books and stuff like that. So this, the newsletter swaps kind of work for that because your readers are looking for new reads. So I found that that's really helpful as well.
Yeah, I come from the land of Goodreads giveaways being free. So I feel like such an oldie at some points. Deb says I own the domains, but nothing live yet. Yeah, it's good to find like the domain price that you can lock in low and the hosting price that you can lock in low. I am living in the hope that I will eventually find a similar situation for the security certificates so that I can get the shopping cart working, because that seems like direct sales is like a no-brainer. Why wouldn't you provide that for your readers?
If you're wide, right? Yeah, if you're exclusive, you can't sell your ebooks, but you can sell everything else. And merch. I see a lot of authors branching out into merch,
And yeah, I am not the person to do that, but I'm more on the like consume less. So I guess that doesn't really align, but I'm contacting the libraries and contacting the other ways to get books in people's hands.
I think it just kind of comes down to it's hard to really make a living as an author now, especially with so much out there.
Yeah, very true. Mama Maggie says getting the domains is so important. It's the only thing I did right when I started publishing. I'm sure that's not true, but I love that as a like stand flag in the ground. I think this is Joe at Six Cats Press. So many things to do, so little time. Right.
Don't kill yourself.
Yeah, don't worry.
One
at a time.
Yeah.
And schedule that self-care. That last part was really important. Oh, Richard Holliday's got a font tip. Serif fonts look better on the page, and serif look better on the screen.
I've never used two different fonts between my paperback or my hardcovers, whatever you want to call them, and print. That's the right word.
I haven't either.
I've just always used the same. That's
Interesting.
something to look into.
Anita's talking my language here.
Remember when you said you liked my font? That was the font that was being used.
Nice. I use Sincel Decorative for my series, so like that's pretty cool. It's historical fiction, it's not fantasy, but I did like it.
I would say, don't you have one that has fantasy elements in it? You didn't use it for that one?
Nope. Wait, no, I redid them. I redid them and used the same so that they had a little bit of the same branding, but nothing like, you know, the same, like covering it and redoing it. The videos that I put in the playlist for the author tubers making their covers and explaining how to do it are really good. So if you guys want to check how to find your cover designer or how to make your own cover, not only do we have it in the AWC this weekend, but also that list is the last couple years, and people are very good at doing it and demonstrating it. So definitely try that out.
Although I didn't use Sincel for mine. I do have it for my newest book cover. Yeah. And it's free. For those of you who want to make your own book cover, Sincel is one of the free ones that's commonly used with fantasy. It's a very pretty and good to read font, or easy to read font.
Oh, now we get to roast Richard. Why was there not a 1 hour font chat? Because someone didn't apply.
Yes.
Morgan says, I use Garamond. I like Garamond. Yes.
Yeah.
For the interior.
Derek Murphy, one of the people you suggested, he suggests Garamond for quite a few different genres.
Yeah. He actually breaks it down by genre and says these are like better for this and this. So yeah. Again, Derek Murphy, great font of free information and cover designer and all the things. He's great. Six Cats Press, I have chapter and scene titles, but only for me and Scrivener, so I can keep track of what happens. Otherwise, it's numbers and scene break indicators.
It's just like, whatever.
Yeah.
You start losing, like, wait, what's going on in chapter 16? I don't remember now.
Yeah.
Which our sponsor, Fictionary, is very good at helping you with that if you don't label your chapters, because it breaks it out by scene and by chapter, and you put the first line in there is what's going on with that chapter, and so it kind of helps you see it visually how it's broken up. I really like Fictionary. I love using it. So
yeah. And I don't have experience with Fictionary, but in Scrivener, I can definitely like relate with the folders and the documents and then the headings, and then just taking them out when you export. So it's easy to like see in your version and then not have it in the final version. So I get where he's coming from. Chapter titles for Morgan.
Well, I mean, in her series, at least in her first two books, I think she's going to continue this in the third one. She has the starts with an E, epigraphs at the beginning of every chapter.
Epigraphs. Interesting.
Am I saying the right thing? Right? That's like a piece of.
Yeah.
And they're from the Bible, actually.
Huh. Okay. Let's see. I'm scanning because we're getting to the end of the time here. I got about 5 minutes left. We have a discussion about trigger warnings, but before I open that can, I'm going to just scan for other questions. Ariadne saying, I know how to, but I'll have to look further in defining beta reader groups specifically. Yeah. Melissa's here. Hey, Melissa. I exclusively use Storygraph. Yay.
I didn't even know what Storygraph was until Margaret talked about it on her channel. And then it wasn't even like 2 or 3 days later that one of my readers posted on there and sent me the link. And I was like, oh, I have someone. And I went to Storygraph and I actually had several different reviews on my books there. And I was like, oh,
nice.
Yeah.
vidIQ. So vidIQ is sort of an add-on that helps people with YouTube channel growth. Had an AI coach in beta. So if you have a YouTube channel, you can use that to find an audience if your channel and book have the same audience, which is a good caveat because sometimes it can be different, as Shannon has found out. Yeah.
You know, that leads to a good point too. You could, because we have BookTube, right? So you could go to BookTube and look at people who talk about books in your genre and see who's commenting on those videos. Because some of them will probably be other booktubers and probably might be authortubers, but you might find some audience members there. And maybe get some good ideas about what people like about different genres.
Nice. Okay, I'm catching up. We're about like 3 minutes behind in the chat here. Yeah, trigger warnings. Oh, yeah. Pen name and overlap.
Well,
That's
Holiday,
a
Richard.
whole SEO discussion that I won't get into, but
She said, yeah. Richard Holiday's name comes up as a wrestler, but I think that's his real name. So,
yay, Melissa dropping the merch link.
thank you.
You see, that's very sweet. Ariadne saying there's a finance group in Australia that comes up. Yeah, leave that behind. Try to make yourself stand out. This board list, that might be Discord. I'd love to hear about people with VAs, virtual assistants. So we heard a little bit about the virtual assistant that is Super Q, Smarter Q, because that sounded pretty awesome. I'm currently using something like that, but not using all the features, called Plannable. And it's interesting. There's issues. There's like little bugs to work out. So just like everything, you're going to have to work around. But actual people who are around the globe being VAs, does anyone have experience with that? That'd be interesting.
I want one.
Yeah. Christmas list.
Yeah.
Let's get down here. Yes, Amy's talk and after party are coming up later today. Richard, I will be there for that font chat as I have a lot to say. Nice. Nia's here. I used Zenzel Narrative in my book cover demo. Yay!
Yes.
See? I mean, you're getting obvious signals here. Some bias maybe, but also a good signal. Okay. Rick Riordan. I think it's spelled differently. I think it's said differently from the way I've always said it in my head. Big author taught me the supreme ways to make chapter titles. We'll spill. That'll be in the after party. Maybe save it for that, so I'll go get to talk to you about it. Paul, nice to see you. Thanks for saying hi. Critique Circle is a great beta readers tool.
Yeah, I used that for a little while, but yeah, you have to keep up with it though. It takes a bit of, and if you're busy with all the author things, and it's hard to keep up, but at least it was for me.
Let's see. So we've got let's chat once.
It was a couple of years ago. They may have changed what they're doing. So
yeah. Riordan. I don't know.
I think isn't it Irish? It's an Irish name,
I think so, but I don't know that he's Irish. I think he's
something else.
I don't know. Yeah. Someone who's a fan. Yay. Okay. So let's see. Trigger warnings. The last question that I was going to save. So there's trigger warnings and there's content warnings. They're slightly different. Melissa had a good perspective on this. She works with trauma affected populations, and she said it's best to err on the side of providing it so people can stay away from it. However, I've also heard from therapists that often trigger warnings can create more trauma because people are then afraid to like engage with the media. So I think what people have done that makes the most sense to me is say there are content warnings for this material. If you suspect you might have a reaction to something, turn to this page in the back to see if that is on the list. And that way you're not doing spoilers and you're not like introducing a topic that's going to trigger someone at the beginning.
I would say a better way to do it that I've seen recently is say go to my website, because if you put it at the back of your book, if you have to update things and you're constantly, now you have to update all your books, where if you put it on your website, you only update one place.
See, I'm thinking old. I'm an oldie. I'm thinking paperback books. Yeah. Yes. Yes, there are after parties. I've got the links, so let me pop in the links. We've got 2. We've got happy hour. Hold on, back up. We've got 3 more sessions after this, and
Amy
and then we've got a happy hour, and then we've got 2 after parties. It's a whole thing. So yeah, lots of opportunities to gab and have fun.
AF Stewart, Amy, and Shantae are next.
Yes. So those are the ones that are happening at the same time.
And
And
Amy is doing one of the after parties, although I didn't get invited to that one. No, I'm just kidding. Margaret's taking that one, and I'm going with Natalie Locke.
Yes. So those are the 2 links for those.
Although if we get done early, I might come over and see if y'all want me. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know.
Well, last night Laura went on for
2.5
quite some time without me. Yeah.
I was still up actually because I was still wrestling with the schedule page on the website, and I did get it done.
Yeah. So yeah, QR code, that's also good.
Good idea. Yeah.
And warn people for the warning. Funny story about this. Authors put on the bottom of the blurb online
Yeah.
mature themes are DV sensitive for domestic violence. That's good. It's
I've
funny.
seen it on Amazon too.
I just had a nephew visit, and he went to the video game store. I wanted to get a game, and he was almost gonna get a game that his mom wouldn't approve of. And I sort of said, well, how good is it gonna be if you get that home and she doesn't let you play it? That'll be $50 wasted. So, you know, they do have impacts, these warning levels. I thought that was funny to see it in action. All right. The wine and after party. Yeah. Joe was invited up on stage, so he got to be there in person, as it were.
Wasn't am I saying it right? Ari was there too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's why she had a headache this morning. I would beg
Oh,
to pause it.
I'm so late.
Yeah. Partied hard. Yep. So much fun. Morgan says, I use content
Yeah,
warnings
keep
in my
that.
books now. I didn't before until my book triggered someone and I felt really bad. So yeah, that's how we learn. And Laura's here to say all the partying. Nice. Books could have ratings like movies and TV because I hated coming across adulty things in YA books or books that pretend to be YA.
Yeah, but then you would have to have some type of like control figure who would then make sure that the right content, the ratings were being applied correctly.
Right, like a board.
Yeah.
And then who has the power? It's
The oversight on our books before they get published. That might be another step that would be added before we could actually publish.
right. So just to wrap up, I do have all this experience, whether it's outdated or not. We're going to be celebrating next month. So if you're curious, definitely subscribe to my channel. Ask me about anything on the community tab or on a video. I respond to every comment. I'm still a small YouTuber, so definitely hit me up there. And we would love to have you leave feedback. I will drop the key links in the chat, the playlist, in case anyone comes across this and it's their first point of contact for the AWC. You can watch all the videos for the AWC via this playlist and on the replay. So hit them up and take notes and leave feedback for a chance to win $3,000 worth of giveaways. So yeah, it's going to be pretty awesome. So, Shannon, in case someone is coming here for the first time and has no contact with the AWC, why don't you tell us about your latest book project so I can put in the Kickstarter link?
Okay. Yeah, so I have just come out with my first book in my new series, which is A Curse of Scales and Feathers. It is a fantasy romance. It is a series, but it is standalone in the series. So it can be read in any order with the first 3 books. So it is a complete story. It is the romance is HEA, so it's there. It's about dragons and shifters and magic and romance. So, and it's on Kickstarter. It's the first time I'm trying out a Kickstarter campaign, and I've been blown away by the support. I really thought I was going to be, struggling like the whole time, trying to get people to back it, and it's already almost fully funded, and it's been out for a couple of days. So I've been blown away by the support. It's just really cool. But yeah. Please, if you like fantasy romance, like dragons and magic, it's epic fantasy. So it's set in an epic fantasy world, secondary Earth. Yeah.
All right. And beyond that, subscribe, leave a comment, blast this out to your networks. We'd love to see and meet new people. And we'll see you at the next session and at the happy hour and after parties because we love to party.